Assam, a state very well known for its tea, silk, resources and culture. But have you ever heard of its problems? Because every single year Assam faces a major problem, and it is floods. So let's talk about it. Since the ancient days, the river Brahmaputra has been intertwined with the state of Assam, and so much so that both of them have now become synonyms. Life in Assam cannot be imagined without the river Brahmaputra, and in the same way, the entire Brahmaputra valley cannot be imagined without floods. This has been going on in Assam for quite a while now, so let's rewind a bit and learn about its history. The two major earthquakes of 1897 and 1950 of magnitude 8.7 were two of the most dangerous earthquakes in the history of the world. These two earthquakes were so strong that it forced the rivers to change their courses, and the ground elevations were immensely affected. The current flood situation in Assam is only the aftermath of the 1950 Assam-Tibet earthquake. Before 1950, flood occurred in Assam only on a few selected years. They were 1897, 1910, 1911, 1915, 1916 and 1931. But after 1950 and the mega earthquake, floods have occurred in Assam almost every single year.
Why does Assam flood every year? Almost every year, 3 to 4 waves of flood ravage the flood-prone areas of Assam. Assam receives both the monsoon rains and the waters from the rivers originating from the Himalayas, of which Brahmaputra is by far the biggest. While the natural topography and the excessive rainfall are the obvious causes, but floods are also caused by different human interventions like encroachment of riverbanks and wetlands, lack of drainage, unplanned urban growth, hill cutting and deforestation.
So how does flood affect Assam? Floods in Assam have been a recurring problem, and the consequences of which are faced by thousands of animals and lakhs of people every year. At least 497 people were killed in the floods of 2004 alone. On an average, the Assam floods kill 50 people every year. Let's have a glimpse on the havoc caused in the last 5 years. 2016, around 28 people were killed and around 300 wild animals have been reported to be drowned. Around 5 lakhs acres of farming was affected by the flood. The Assam Branch Indian Tea Association has reported a 21 to 30% crop loss of Assam tea. 2017, at least 154 people were dead and 4 lakhs people have been affected, and 5 lakhs people have lost their homes. Nearly 60 animals have lost their lives. 2018, the flood affected 4.5 lakhs people around the state, with 12 people losing their homes, as per a report from the Assam State Disaster Management Authority. 2019, the death toll rose to a hovering 59, with 5.2 million people being affected. 2019 was a challenge to the famous Kaziranga National Wildlife Sanctuary, where 141 animals lost their lives. 2020, till July, the floods along with the landslides have affected 1.6 million people, with the death toll rising to 40 and still counting.
The heritage of Assam is under threat due to these recurring floods. The surging waters have wreaked havoc in the Kaziranga National Park and the Povitra Wildlife Sanctuary, making the wild animals run to safety, only to risk their lives either from the predators or the poachers, besides starvation. This year, nearly 80% of the Kaziranga National Park, which is the largest habitat of the renowned one-horned rhino, is under floodwaters. This has become a yearly phenomenon, and every year thousands of animals succumb to this. If we talk about the cultural heritage of Assam, Majuli is the first name that pops up in the mind of every Assamese. Now, what is Majuli? Majuli is the largest river island in the world and was originally 1250 square kilometers in areas, which has unfortunately shrunk down to 352 square kilometers of areas owing to severe bank erosions and floods. With the flood and erosion hitting the island year after year, of the 65 original hot straws, only 22 of them remain, and even their future remains uncertain. The continuously shrinking landmass poses a challenge as 2 lakhs of its residents depend on it. The problem is compounded when 80% of the cultivated land goes under water every year during floods. Some surveys, in fact, predict that Majuli may even disappear within 20 years.
Why aren't these covered by the national media? Lack of any knowledge about the northeastern region or negligence about the very existence of the northeastern region leads to the lack of information about what is going on in this part of the country. The national media also need to be blamed for this. In the year 2013, Uttarakhand and in 2014, Jammu and Kashmir witnessed a major flood situation. When floods came in, the course of mainstream journalists went there to cover each and every angle of the natural calamity. Huge coverage was given and even the state governments were criticized for poor management during that tough time. But nothing similar was done in case of Assam, who faces the same crises and challenges in the very same year. If we compare the stats from the year 2014, the 𝐁𝐇𝐈 flood affected 2,550 villages and almost 80,000 to 1 lakh people. Whereas in Assam, 4,246 villages were affected and almost 42 lakhs people were affected. So basically, the state which was affected twice got less than half the coverage. But why?
It was the same in the year 2018 and 19 when Kerala and Assam both faced major floods, and the only state which was given the attention and all the national media coverage was Kerala. And even after all that, Kerala felt that they were not given the coverage that they deserve, the amount of coverage that they deserve. And maybe they were right, but think about Assam, which didn't get any coverage at all. Is media supposed to be so biased in the coverage of such natural calamities? And was it really okay for the mainstream media to give the northeastern people such one-sided treatment? We were talking about 2018 and 19, and it wasn't the end of the biased media coverage. It is 2020, and in between of the ongoing pandemic, Assam is once again fighting the floods, and yet the national media chooses to film the waterlogged streets of Mumbai and Delhi rather than the submerged villages of Assam. Even famous personalities come forward and donate or provide relief materials for the flood-affected people of Assam, the news is twisted and attention is diverted to how generous the particular star is, rather than focusing on the actual problem, that is what the people of Assam are really going through.
So what can we do? We have been suffering from years now. We cannot give up. We cannot get used to this. Many of the people watching this might not have enough resources to help, but we have willpower. Let's see what we can do.
It basically means if we collectively donate and help the people of our own land, nothing can stop us from evolving as a stronger community.
Use social media as a power. We can trend #Assam Floods on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. May not every one of them will notice, but at least 100 of them will. Maybe we'll get the help and attention we rightfully deserve. Let's all remember, a collective of whispers make a voice.
The first step for change is awareness. We need to talk to our friends from outside our state and tell them about the problem our community, our heritage faces. We need to rightfully remind them that we are the people from their very own land.
India is a diverse country. Assam is an epitome of that. We are different tribes. We are a state of different clusters of cultures, tied all together by our very own Gamusa.
Let us all stand united and let us help each other.
𝐁𝐇𝐈 Foundation is an NGO which helps people in the flood-affected areas of Assam. Let us do our bit and let us donate as much as we can. Even a rupee counts. We will have that information in the description box below.